Thanks so much for staying with us. Now, Tuesdays on the show, we dedicate to youth, and today we talk to the Wholesale and Retail SETA, which is a skills development and training institution established primarily to encourage skills generation and economic growth. To talk more on the programs they're running currently, we have the CEO, Mr. Dikgole. And you at home, please give us a call, or you can post your messages on Facebook and Twitter as well. Dikgole, thanks so much for coming in.
Thanks.
I think the SETAs, I don't know if you've managed to clean up the misconception that they're not as effective. There's a pool of funds that are sitting there. You're not reaching your targets in training young people. How far has the SETAs evolved?
Well, I think the record of the SETA speaks for itself. Obviously, you'll have one or two SETAs that are not doing well. But that doesn't generally mean SETAs are not doing their job. I think if you look at our record in Parliament, we submit annual reports every year. And in the past of the 23 SETAs, only 3 have not managed to get clean audit reports. So if it's a measure of what SETAs are about, I think that's where one could look. But I think also it's fair to say that perhaps SETAs themselves have not come out to publish the results of what they do. What we normally hear in the media is the bad news. And I would possibly say that our SETA has endeavored over the years to come out in the press, in the media, to announce our results.
I think there's a misalignment as well. We heard from Finance Minister Pravin Gordhan saying that we have fantastic legislation. We have a constitution that is second to none. There's all these interventions, but it's how those translate significantly to what the mandate is. In this case, skills and training.
Well, I think SETAs are doing as best as they can. Firstly, you must remember the mandate of SETAs is to facilitate skills development, primarily for people who are working. You know, those people who never had an opportunity for many years to go through a formal system of education. So SETAs are providing that platform. Anyone that is employed can approach their employer and say, I want to register for a qualification which is nationally recognized. But over the past years, we've also catered for unemployed young people. We know that there are about 3 million young people who are neither at school nor at work. And so the SETAs are making a contribution to make sure that those young people go through our training programs. They get their workplace experience. I think that's the key, because you can have many young people with qualifications, but if they don't have workplace experience, they will never get employed. So we are providing that opportunity for them.
Well, we'll talk about the criteria, especially for those, as you said, that have never been in the mainstream labor market. But you at home can give us a call, 011-537-9333 or 9345. You said you're not necessarily an employer, but you facilitate the training and skills development of young people. So if a young person who's at least got the minimum requirement of a national senior certificate wants to have training in the wholesale and retail sector, where do you start?
Well, we always advertise our programs on the newspapers or on radio. And young people are are free to apply for those opportunities. Of course, we sit in a very strategic position because we deal with companies on the one hand. We deal with the providers, those who are qualified and accredited to deliver our programs. And then, of course, you've got the learners. So we bring all these 3 stakeholders together. I think what is important for young people to know is that when they enroll for these programs, they have to go through workplace training. That is very critical.
Okay, we'll talk about the obligations on those or the beneficiaries of the scheme. Joseph in, hi Joseph, in Orange Farm, hi. Hello Joseph.
Hello.
Yebo.
Kunjani?
Ngiyaphila singezwa nina.
Sikhona. Sisi into engizokhomenta ngayo kubaba ukuthi i-service SETA.
Yes.
I-service SETA isebenza kakhulu ngoba thina sine catering service. And then i-W&RSETA isincedile thina uku-aplya izinto abasifundise zona sine-certificate eziphuma e-UJ eSoweto ngenxa yabo. Now into engibonayo kakhulu ukuthi intsha ayifuni ukusebenzisa le thuba leli because lo bona bayenzani ba-change ama-service seater. They don't want to apply one service seater bese ba-concentrate kuyo ba-build i-career yabo ngayo. Into emoshayo kakhulu ukuthi bathola kunalama incentive abapha wona. Uthi makacephe lena after 6 months ubalekela kulena enye, aqeda lena abalekela kulena enye. So into encourage ngayo ukuthi maba-concentrate kuyi-one. I-W&RSETA siyabonga kakhulu ukuthi siyayihalalisa ibhizinisi yethu iyachubeka ngenxa yabo izinto abasifundise zona. Ngiyabonga.
Oh, thanks so much, Joseph. Joseph basically saying that he's benefited from the W&RSETA and that the catering business, everything that he's learned from a business point of view, he's applied in his business and is reaching much desired success. But do you find that the problem is the hopping between seaters and sectors that continues or makes employment a problem?
Well, I think young people
By nature,
are
restless.
adventurous, so they will try this learnership and move on to another learnership. But I don't think it's a general problem. I think it will be unfair to say all young people hop from one program to the other. I think we as SETAs normally come together and discuss how we can make sure that young people stay in one learnership. A learnership takes about 12 months. After that, they have a better opportunity for employment. But of course, if you talk about wholesale and retail, we know that for a long time, the sector was not one of those very sexy sectors, if I may say. But today, in wholesale and retail sector, you can go places. And we have shown that there are a lot of opportunities for young people in our sector. We've just sent about 38 people in management overseas to get exposure in best practice, and we think those are the future leaders of the sector. So I think my message to young people is that they need to focus, come into the sector, work very hard. I think if you talk to an average person in the sector, they will tell you they've been in the sector for 20, 30 years. And they're going places.
All right, we're running out of time, but we'll take Thapelo and then the other callers. Please stay on the line. We'll take news headlines and continue with our discussion. Thapelo, do you mind that?
Hi, Ansilika.
Everything like I?
Everything. Well, actually, I wish to ask Mr. Dikgole. I'm in one of the learnerships, the wholesale and retail in Eastern Free State. So when he says that they monitor those seaters, I little bit disagree too, because we suffer like we are permanent employees in those seaters here in Eastern Free State. So I wish to know why don't they visit maybe once weekly maybe, or once monthly? It will be maybe a little bit nice, because we're suffering here in those wholesale and retail sectors in Eastern Free State. All
right, Thapelo, please stay listening. We'll have your response just after the news. We'll have to take a spot break and continue our discussion. The number is 0115379 or 9345. We're back after this. Sunrise.